Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Price. Whoa, these are incredibly intense times. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how the energies of what's going on in the world are pertaining to what's going on with our light worker focus through this year, through this time. And yet, I'm going to take it from a very broad perspective of how our ascension energies are focusing us in a way that are truly calling us to more personal empowerment. And yet, the intensity of what we're experiencing collectively right now is undeniable and has been for such a long time. This is years and years of things unfolding and uncovering that have been hidden and suppressed for a very long time. It's also a really powerful time of all of us individually coming into more of our divinity, more of what our natural capabilities are. And while I know that life is fail-safe towards love, and life is calling us and compelling us to this empowerment. We see all around us that it's not always natural for everyone, and it's not always easy, even for those of us sensitive ones that understand that love is our true power. So, this is the year of understanding love, according to Ariane, the Lyran Council of Time that I channel. And this is a really important information and energy for us to understand and be able to apply this energy into our lives daily. How does it apply to what we're going through internally? How does it apply to the things that we're experiencing externally that are in our lives? And how does it apply to the things that the collective are going through that aren't necessarily directly in our lives, but that are part of our collective experience? And therefore, everything that's coming into your awareness is there for a reason. As Ariane always says, you never just hear something or think about something or see something on the internet or something. It becomes part of your information. You receive it. And that is part of understanding love, because the big important aspect of that is, what are you going to do with that energy? Once you've received it into your information, how are you going to transform, nurture yourself, or change that information? And you have to do that through authenticity, because spiritual bypassing or just avoiding everything is not generally the path for certainly those of us that are watching this video, because we are engaged in a different type of life that is meant to interact with things and transform them and make new choices and put new energy into the field. And that is an important part of understanding love. So I want to look at this part of the year as a bit of a whole, because we just went through an eclipse series that really is bringing this whole first quarter, this whole first section of the year into a different kind of focus with what's going on with the collective and what we're experiencing as light workers evolving into more empowerment. This has been a time, first of January, focusing on our freedom, and then kind of the opposite of that, but not really, of how connected we are. And that juxtaposition is something that we are always doing as light workers, that in order to transcend duality or embrace a broader experience of duality, same thing, we have to connect those things that seem like they're so opposite and really come into an understanding and an application of connecting two opposites. We're free and we're connected. We are limited and we're free. We are connected and we're separate. So, connecting those is our internal work of understanding how we navigate two sides of one coin. Now, the energies of this month are applying those two opposites and just about to tell them to you. But I want to say that I feel because we're just completing an eclipse series, I feel like this next month, this one that we're currently in, and the next month, somewhat of May, these are still times of, there's a lot of internal reactionary response, reframing, reshaping that is going to be going on. And then things are going to start feeling like externally they are shifting in ways that become much more aligned with what we know love to be, which is powerful, it's connective, it is something that elevates and supports life. And that comes in all kinds of forms, whether that's protection, whether that's saying yes and it's comfortable or uncomfortable, like taking a creative risk or saying yes to something that's new, or whether it's protective and saying no, or stopping something, or holding healthy boundaries, or letting that powerful love shape a healthy environment. And we all know that so much of what is going on in this world is the exact opposite of that. It is not about love flourishing. It's about suppression and control and manipulation and deception flourishing. And that's why things are so chaotic at this time, because we are moving into an energy, because we hold these energies within us, the 99% invisible aspects of ourselves, the core desires that we all hold. That is the energy that creates this world. And when things are not resonant with that, they rise to the surface. And this time that we're in, that we've been in for years, has been an amplified time of those control mechanisms losing their power, their ease of power. And it's becoming more difficult to hold on to that control and manipulation and deception. And it will continue in that direction, slower than we all want, more chaotically and more destructively than we would want from sensitive beings. But change is constant in this realm. And life is fail-safe towards love, because at its core, it keeps flourishing from that connective nature that it actually is. So that was a much longer way than I wanted to say. I feel like these next couple of months through May have a similar energy in that there's a lot going on externally that feels like it is the opposite of progress. And yet changes are always occurring. And this is why this is the year of understanding love, because it is for us to become more powerful, more active, and more bold with our love. So the March energies, from freedom to being connected, now the energy focus is wise choices. And I want to talk about this physically, and I want to talk about this how it applies to us individually and collectively, because everything that we're doing individually is part of flowing information into the collective, but we approach it differently. So, physically, what I am still shown coming up so strongly is the brain changes that Ariane's been talking about for years now. That that tri-wave brain flow that they talk about or have talked about, that is about moving us into more of what is natural to us. It's our birthright, it's our sacred flow of super consciousness rather than so much being unconscious and then having our consciousness as well. That as we bridge that unconscious and the conscious, that we are able to utilize more of that 99% unknown, generally subconscious information. We're able to utilize more of that. And that's the physicality of what we've been going through. And I noticed, especially during this eclipse window, that there was a lot of time of fatigue. There was a lot of time of like just thirst for water, needing more water, and feeling run down emotionally and like needing a lot more of that support. And as I started looking into that, because I always assume it's just me at first, and then I'll meditate on it, I will talk to some people, or people will just naturally start talking to me about some of the different things that they're going through. And this felt very collective. So if you found that you were super tired recently, or needing a lot more water, needing a lot more alone time and ability to process your emotions and just be quiet and nurturing, like I found nature so necessary in this recent time. This eclipse series has really been about a shift into owning more of our divine feminine creative power, which is about being receptive. It's about connection. And that's not surprising given the last monthly energies of being connected. So, now, as we move into March, we are being called to have a little more awareness around how we are supporting the self to be able to flow, how we are receiving support, and what we are expecting in a very broad way from that support that is so natural to us, part of our beingness, because we are part of this cosmic universal flow. So physically, the brain is still going through a lot of changes in order to implement that super consciousness flow more easily. And therefore, the rest, the water, the physical support, your nutrition, your exercise, and very importantly, right now, especially with the March energies of wise choices, is meditation, the quiet time, no uh, distractions, no noise, not just what am I? Gosh, the words are at a loss. No external noise, not things going on around you, but not using any devices, like really being able to get quiet and let that quiet flow support you. And this is something that it doesn't have to be all the time, because guided meditations and music that nurtures us is so important. And yet that quiet time is becoming ever more important for us, because the noise and the distraction is part of pulling us away from our internal voice, our internal choices. So, physically, notice the things that you're needing with rest and water and play and nature. And also making sure that your meditation practice with complete silence as much as possible is something that you're focused on quite a bit at this time. Now, I want to talk a little bit about how this affects us personally and then collectively, because personally, that inner realm is where we are sovereign. It is where our power is. That is where we do the work of, okay, I know some of the things that are going on in my life. I know some of the things that are exciting and creative to me. I know some of the things that are traumatizing and horrible to me going on in my life and this world. The inner realm is where you transform that so that it becomes something new. And the personal and why meditation is so important right now, especially always, but right now, especially, is to nurture and hold that inner environment in something that allows the new to form. As the old destructive, manipulative, deceptive, controlling energies are really trying to make a last ditch effort, which will go on for quite a while in many different ways. They know that the exposure is just going to keep intensifying. It is just going to keep intensifying. And why right now, that wisdom choice of knowing my quietness and tuning in without the physical devices is an important part of what we're going through. Because that sovereignty in that internal realm is one that at first seems like separation from our physical perspective, but it is what nurtures that universal flow and that broader connection that is incredibly important right now. That is what this time is all about. So, nurturing that inner realm, making sure that you are making wise choices with your physicality and with your mental, emotional, and spiritual practice. Now, how this affects the collective, because we are meant to be interactive beings. We are meant to connect with others, with life. We are not meant to fix everything or know everything or hold everything within our own experience. But whatever's coming into your experience is there for a reason for you. You're making wise choices of not letting yourself get overwhelmed or overly saturated with things that are outside of your control. And you're also being aware that you are not just in a state of avoidance when life is calling you to use your beautiful flow of love that is so powerful to create the new here on earth. So, how we are applying our wise choices to the collective start first with the personal. Am I nurturing my beingness so that I can create energetically and physically from that wellspring of love? And am I not only flowing that energy into life, but taking the actions that I feel compelled to create the new? And blending these actions with the understanding that we are building things through time is part of the wisdom of patience and the courage of patience. Because we don't get the answers of, well, if you take this energetic step or this physical action, that here's the guaranteed outcome. Part of that wisdom is the patience that requires courage as well. And as we're moving through this time of the the power structures really trying to distract us and hold on to that power and create more fear, that we're called to our wisdom and our courage to interact in ways that we know we are supporting our personal flow individually all around the world, and that we are compelled to flow and take actions that support that creative flow in the ways that apply in your life. And why that quiet time is becoming ever more important, because holding that sovereign environment is what allows that new flow to become more available here. And as light workers, we are working with the subtle consciously because everyone has the same capability. We are just doing this consciously to support the new to be able to form here as the old is trying its hardest to keep holding on to destructive power. It's just not the way that life flourishes through time. And we are here for the long game, because the long game of destruction and desecration and lack of divinity is losing its power. So your wisdom choices will be personal this month in this time of moving through a lot of intensity. And it will call you to observe, how am I flowing energy and actions into this world that are creating a stronger foundation for love to flourish. So I want to share the intention this month that is helping us to apply the understanding of love when it can feel like lack of love is so prevalent here. And this does take courage, because the physical experience is not easy as it goes through intensified change, and the destruction and the pain that's going on here now is traumatizing, and it's meant to be. Hold your power in the ways that apply in your life, and use your powerful flow to nurture our collective environment through your energy and your actions. So the intention this month: use it often. Let it stir up things that need to release. Let it stir up things that need to activate. The intention is, my wisdom choices bring more love to earth. My wise choices, sorry, said that wrong. My wise choices bring more love to earth. My wise choices bring more love to earth. As you're doing this intention, think about how life is calling you to choose love. First, within yourself, so that you have the environment to continue to flow love. And then with all of the people that you're interacting with. My wise choices bring more love to earth. Sometimes those wise choices are saying no. Sometimes they're saying yes. Sometimes they're engaging with something difficult. Sometimes they are letting yourself cocoon and replenish so that whatever's coming is easier for you to handle. My wise choices bring more love to earth because that is what we came here to do. And it doesn't always seem obvious, but that is what we came here to do. Hemir nehmer hukua, brehtatima sucham, bramhektira tana orab andur, mayet okram det al hernesh daurat I, tan krorum adderut usem cherek enthiat ankaim. Kuram at ish dairomat, door akreeret door hariad on, bremhakrur mat neem sitcharat okwa, kran het is dairot o, kom kremat jandiar teat a. Kani, Danish ora kaima. Ambranda kandat adj dairot sukmim, braniat suchurut okwa. Tamyak andat stenenea sut ektieret kaniaruk quemet a. Bremhat nemat such aruk oquam, bremhet nint danisht arukarat ekrel arandandet aret such nemekr et inim bror hatiem, brem hakrandat brail et enima. So, kamiara kayam, cheninia gratat ia. Samemesh dairu hoamak Kananend akrandat ayestel renend imma bror akrandat ham atsharat anan such dal renend I kremahak andat horemahat Tani harot ostairum at ilel chanent enkreamat ut sanshirik ikia kran hakrandat usam charat aniat ukurem abdirat al naur hakam chandhiratek ekwa kom shairat an such brahmakrandat il dama neneher kakai. Grana hasum shairku, kram hakrandat andeat danet erum ashtairut sechokrorum, bren hatet ekak amahwet. Gani harakakai. Uremahat steiretem, branet ekrayendant el rumnesterat sansharuk ukwam, brim haktiradat in and in ewa. Tataimem kawa. Danu rimet. Enineru wemsteig ma amdharat and dat shaurem bremahat nim aquam bremhaktirat nin sanjaya.